overview of some of the clay tools that I use in my art practice in my studio. So here you can see I've got an assortment here laid up on my desk. Firstly, you might want to think about using a sponge. So this one I bought from the pottery store. You can use any sponge, so it can be a makeup sponge if you want for smoothing. These are modeling tools, so a lot of them come in as wooden tools, and that's just really good for sort of indenting and changing the shape of the clay. This one's my favorite one, so this is really good for pressing in and adding details with that fine point. These are loop tools. So loop tools are really good for carving out the inside of clay, and they all come in a range of sizes. So you can see the one on the right, that's sort of the largest one. That's for carving out bigger areas, and then the ones on the left are smaller. You can get a range of shapes there. There's a circular shape and triangular shape. They're really handy. These are scrapers and ribs. So this blue one here, it's got a bit of clay on it, but this is a kidney, rubber kidney, really good and a little bit flexible, which is great for smoothing out the outside of the clay. This has got a serrated edge on it, so it's really good if you're scoring. You can also get ones with smoother edges on them as well. So I would use these before I'd use the sponge. So the sponge is sort of the last finish, but these scrapers and ribs are really, really handy tools to use for smoothing out the outside of your clay. Of course, using a wire for cutting, but if you don't have one of these, you can just use fishing wire and just tie it to some wood at the end. So just a great way just to cut a nice, neat line through your clay. And these are bamboo brushes, so they're really good for underglazes as well as doing a gloss glaze on the top. They're a lot softer and they have a really even distribution of the underglaze on top of the clay surface. So sometimes if you're using really small or a hard brush, you might damage, if it's greenware that hasn't been fired yet, you might damage it, or these will not have any damage on there. These also are just some regular old paint brushes that I stole from my paint set, and they're really good just for smoothing out fine details, getting in where your fingers are too broad to go and smooth. So they're really good pieces of equipment to have. I usually use some smaller ones and larger brushes as well. Almost use them like a sculptural tool. Obviously having a little bit of slip ready to go, so it's just water added to clay. I know some people use blenders to blend it up. And this is my wheel, which is really good, so if I'm hand building, that I can keep turning my clay rather than have to pick it up by hand. You can damage it that way. And then lastly, using an old towel. So this is really good for just absorbing any messy areas of water, or just cleaning up your desk or your hands in the middle of your sculpture.